Welcome to MedMox. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and share. Do subscribe. Don't forget to press the bell button. So not any further delay, let's get go on with it. So today's topic is about the cardiac structures and its coronary circulation. So what is the first question? What is heart? The heart is a hollow muscular organ. What's its function? Its function is a pumping of the blood to all of the parts of the body. So, as we all know, there are four chambers of the heart: the right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium, and left ventricle. First, we take about the right atrium. The blood to the right atrium from two big vessels called the vena cava. The superior vena cava from the upper body, the inferior vena cava draining the lower body. There will be a deoxygenated blood passing through the superior and the inferior vena cava and poured into the right atrium. Once the right atrium fills the blood, it will pushes the blood to the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. Then the blood enter into the right ventricle. This ventricle again pushes the blood into the pulmonary trunk, pulmonary artery to the left and the right lungs. Here are some papillary muscles. These papillary muscles hold the AV valve, that is the tricuspid valve, closed so that the blood flow of the blood doesn't happen. The blood doesn't go back to the right atrium. The another supporting structure is called the collagen bundles, called the cauda tendineae, also holds the AV valve closed, so there is no backflow of the blood as happens. From the pulmonary trunk, it will pass through the pulmonary artery and it will pass through the right and the left lung for the oxygenation. So there will be exchange of the oxygen and the carbon dioxide. From where it passes through? Through the pulmonary semilunar valve, and this valve shuts after the right ventricle is finished pushing blood out and the pressure started to decrease in the right ventricle. And then this valve shut open, the AV valve is closed during the ventricular contraction and the semilunar valve closes at the end of ventricular contraction. So now the oxygenated blood returns the pulmonary vein from the right and the left lung and poured into the left atrium once get filled with the blood. So the left atrium contracts, it pushes the blood down into the left ventricle. So this valve is called the mitral valve. This will open and blood passes through the right ventricle. Once after the ventricular contraction, the blood from the left ventricle passes through the aorta by the opening of the aortic valve. From the aorta, it will pass through the whole body. In the aorta, there are three groups of vein. There are three branches of the vein. One is the right brachiocephalic, second one is the left common carotid, third one is the left subclavian. So first is the brachiocephalic. So brachiocephalic, there will be oxygenated blood. It will passes through the right arm. So brachiocephalic, cephalic means arm. So then second one is the left common carotid. It sends blood to the left side of the head and neck. The third one is the left subclavian. The left subclavian is the underneath the clavicle. That is, it will passes oxygenated blood to the left arm. As we all know, there are I am repeating again, there are four chambers of the heart: right atrium, right ventricle, left atrium and left ventricle. All this, the contraction and the ventricular systole and the ventricular diastole, there will be a relaxation phase, there is a filling of the blood, and there will be a contraction phase, there is a pumping of the blood. Once it gets all over, so then move on to the myocardium. What is myocardium? Myo means muscles, cardium means heart. So the muscles present in the heart is the myocardium. The right ventricle does not have thicker a muscle as the left ventricle does, and this is because of the right ventricle has to pump the blood a few inches away to the lungs, but the left ventricle has to pump the blood all the way to the brain, so it is bigger and stronger. So we completed this. Again a summary. So blood from the inferior and the superior vena cava, it passes through the right atrium. Once the blood is filled with the right atrium, it will pushes the blood from the tricuspid valve to the right ventricle. And then the right ventricle, after the right ventricular contraction, the pulmonary valve gets opened and the blood will passes through the pulmonary artery, and the pulmonary artery, it will takes the blood to the left lungs and the right lungs. Once there will be exchange of the oxygenation and the deoxygenated blood, there will be a exchange of the carbon dioxide and the oxygen. After once get it over, the pulmonary veins carries the oxygenated blood and will pour into the left atrium. Once the left atrium gets filled with blood, the mitral valve will open. So there will be a contraction. So the mitral valve gets open, the blood from the left atrium is poured through the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle the blood will pass through the aortic valve and then it passes through the aorta. So from the aorta there are three branches of vein. From there will be a passing of the oxygenated blood from the aorta to the whole parts of the body, again back to the superior and the inferior vena cava. This is a whole process. So this is how the circulation is happen. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, please do like and give a thumbs up. So don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.